I walk into a 7-Eleven, and
Okay.
you know how they have the little device that spins all the hot dogs on it?
Yeah?
There's just a bunch of cocks on it.
Dude.
There's a bunch of dick. Just spinning repeatedly, getting equally warm.
Jared, how am I supposed to do a show now? What is wrong with you?
That could be a cold open.
That's a clip for sure. I don't know if it's a cold open. I don't know if we can put the cock spinning hot dog machine as the first 10 seconds of the. What if this was your first episode ever, and we cold open with Jared's sick nightmare of a fucking 7-Eleven that instead of 4-day-old spinning Frankfurters, there are human dongs.
I said it was a.
Are they a variety of sizes and shapes and colors?
Uh-huh.
Man, so just like the hot dogs.
Yes. And by the way, I also said it was a fantasy, not a nightmare. You put that in my mouth.
I did. I added the negativity. I'm sorry. For the love of all that is good and decent, press our theme music so that people can feel some sense of normalcy.
There's a lot of things I'll let you put in my mouth, but something being a nightmare instead of a fantasy is not one of them.
Wow.
I don't know if we started the show yet or not. I legitimately
You still need to press the button.
I feel
the music, you know, the music for the
Yeah. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to the Ross Bolen podcast. I am your host, Ross Bolen, here as always with your co-host, Jared Borislow, who just off mic with me. We usually have a little bit of small talk warming up before the show begins, and I'm confident that today's small talk needs to be turned into some type of social media clip. We always have the cameras rolling and the mics rolling, and it's just Jared and I. Jared is the producer, so we sit down and like everything's going, and then we have a little chit chat to test the levels and whatnot. And he just went completely off the rails with it. So I honestly don't know what to say. It's going to be a weird show today, is what I'm saying.
So you don't want to use that as a cold open?
I mean, maybe part of it. We could roll it before the theme music. So now I'm going to pretend that you've all heard it. And what the hell, man? Like, the question I asked, like, Jared, how am I supposed to do a show now, was a legitimate question. I don't want to talk about any of these other topics on the rundown because I've got 7-Eleven hot dog spinning warmer machine filled with penises on the brain. Anyway, Jared, you may have noticed I'm wearing a soccer jersey right now.
Yes.
As I sit before you, a bright green and black striped soccer jersey representing Austin FC, Austin Football Club, for the uncultured swine in the audience. Because last night, I became a soccer guy. Part of the oak, some might say. Football is life! My co-host on Oysters, Clams, and Cockles, our TV and movie podcast here at Bolen Media, Oysters, Clams, and Cockles, or OCC as it is known, Barrett invited me to the match here in Austin. I saw the lads leave it all on the pitch against the LA Galaxy. Just a rousing 90 minutes of football.
Did they win?
It was a beautiful game. They did, 2-0. The People's Sport, by the way. 2-0.
Did you win your bets?
Just one of them. But the one I won was, we were an underdog. The Galaxy are fairly decent, whereas this is our first season. We're kind of trash, man. We've only won 6 games now, I think, after last night. So
we have fans like you who power the team when they're at home to victory.
Right. We actually, like, a big part of the experience, honestly, probably over half of the entertainment value of being at this Austin FC LA Galaxy game, first MLS game I've ever been to, first professional soccer event I've ever been to, period, I realized. As I was in like the second half at some point, I was like, oh my God, I feel like I've been here because I've watched a lot of Ted Lasso, but I have never been in this situation before. And the crowd and the soccer crazies that they've got in one of the end zones make the whole experience like another. It's like
You can't call it an end zone.
My girlfriend compared it to. Yeah, sure. My girlfriend compared it to. It's like the excitement and energy of a Texas high school football game, or Florida. Florida has big. Texas takes all of the credit as like the high school football state, or at least we think we do. I'm not sure what the vibe is outside of the state, but like Friday Night Lights and all that shit, you know. There are other huge high school football states as well. I'm just saying, trying to throw some credit out there for the Floridians and the Oklahomans. They don't have anything else to do. the fuck do you think they're doing? They're playing high school football. Anyway, high school football games, you've got the battling bands. One team's band's playing a song, the other team's band's playing a song. You got the crowds going at it, and it's a big part of what happens on the field, right? It's like the energy, you're just a lot more involved. You go to an NBA game, it doesn't matter if you're in the loudest, if you're in Oklahoma City or one of the stadiums that's got really crazy, it's still not the same. You're not impacting the play. Whereas, like, dude, at an MLS game, it legitimately feels like you're a part of the thing. I have no connection to these fucking guys. I didn't know any of their names going in. Not a single one of the players. Had the time of my life.
Name a single player now after going.
This is a little bit unfair because their goalie's name is Stubots or something, or Stu... Shit.
Stugatz? Isn't that Dan Levitard's sidekick?
Stugatz. Now I have to Google it because I don't want to disrespect him. And he's awesome and put on a hell of a performance last night. Stuver. So, every time Stuver does anything, they go, Stu, which is huge. I love that. Huge fan of the sports teams that have a guy whose last name can be used as a cheer that sounds like boo and confuses even their own fans who don't know what's happening.
Yep. John Kuhn was a great one for the Packers.
Yep. Coons. Why are they booing? Why is everybody booing? Yeah. We actually just don't know what's happening because we're ignorant. So I love that dude. He was my fave, but also he crushed it. Like he was the reason we won the game. Anyway, I don't know if it's the pandemic or that I'm getting old at 34, but like, you know, soccer is one of the games that I used to argue like, it's boring, bro. I'm only watching when it's the World Cup. That's the only thing that could get me really excited enough. The same with baseball, especially regular season baseball. I would always argue like, nah, bro. Now I get it. Much like I get lawn maintenance, it's sort of an age, you have to age into it. And your life has to get to a place where it's hectic and unenjoyable enough that something as peaceful as 9 innings or 12 innings or 6.5 hours or 14 hours of baseball is peaceful and gives you rest instead of just boring you to sleep. Or being bored to sleep is a plus because you need sleep. Because you got 3 kids running around and they're fucking insane and you got bills to pay and shit. And you don't need to be watching something that's going to drive you even more nuts. You need something relaxing that's also sometimes, occasionally, maybe exciting. You know?
Mm-hmm.
There's that mix. And I felt that for the first time. Inner peace. Watching the beautiful game.
Helga Benito.
It's just it's also confusing because I launched a Houston sports podcast like last week.
Oh, wait, you have to be a Dynamo fan. What the hell?
I am a Dynamo fan.
You're wearing an Austin FC kit.
I've lived here for a decade. We finally got a professional freaking sports team. It's been one of my main, if not only, complaints about this city that's realistic. We complain about the Californians. That's mostly a joke. I don't care. I'm a transplant too. We're all freaking transplants, people. But it sucks that the housing prices go up. But that's also just the way our society is set up and works. The thing that's always really bugged me about Austin is the inability to go to a professional sporting event. Which it's also partially that. Just to feel professional sports here it like gave me new life. So it was a mix of all the things. The pandemic, not getting to go feel like the excitement of people like that and shit recently, right?
I don't see, I'm just sitting here, like, you brought up something I had not even thought about. I don't see any certain way in the world you can remedy having a Houston sports podcast and sitting in the chair that you podcast from wearing an Austin FC kit. There's no way in my brain that you can make that make sense to people who are listening to your podcast.
Okay, well, I'll do it anyway, you doubter. Being from Houston, I can tell you that before the Dynamo existed, which was not until I was into my teens, deep into my teens maybe. Not sure, honestly, when they got founded, because nobody gave a shit really. It was like, oh yeah, soccer. Okay, back to the Astros, Texans, and Rockets. Like, there was no... even when we won the league... I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure there were a lot of Houstonians who are big Dynamo fans, but it wasn't like a citywide fucking wave of soccer or something like that. And again, having been living in Austin now for what's coming up on 11 years, I hate the Longhorns. Never been a UT guy.
Yeah, hate
Do
them.
not care for Longhorn sports. Don't give a shit. Watching them suck at football for a decade... no, more like 16 years, has been hilarious. For me, it sucked for some of my best friends, and I'm sorry for them. But we also know this is how sports go. I've just never cared. So there's never been the ability to just go, you know what, I'm going to go to a game this week. Take a load off and watch some sports live and in person.
Do you think you're going to go to more than 2 games a season of Austin FC?
First question, how many games are in a season? Because that's the only way I can really answer that.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know either. I think there's 12 home games, though. Something like that.
I would imagine at least one of those is going to be against Houston.
I have no clue. Haven't looked up the schedule. I'm a new fan, Jared. I walked out of the gift shop wearing this jersey, which I haven't taken off since, and a pink hat that I bought from the women's section. It was the dopest hat they had. I'm not going to let them telling me it's a women's hat determine whether or not I can wear it. It was floppy.
I've got a question for you. What is a dynamo?
No fucking clue.
Probably bad branding for them. Like Austin FC, I know what that means. Is Austin's football club, but their also symbol is an oak tree.
Yeah, what the fuck does that mean? Also, arguably a very strange mascot.
Stanford's mascot's a tree.
In fact, we don't have a mascot. Stanford has the human tree.
That tree is fucked up.
That's where the FC are doubting, or lacking right now, is they do not have the human tree. And without the human tree, I'm not sure how we can be true oak. You know?
What if we just get a dude who just has a massive trunk? And that's the...
Now, Jared, you've argued you can never be an Austin FC fan.
Yeah, 100%.
Why is that?
So, I'm not sure how familiar you are with how Austin FC came to be.
I am. We, in some way, shape, or form, the ownership group now was able to convince the former ownership group to move them from Columbus, Ohio or some shit.
It's worse than that. That is the story that you were told about before they stopped reporting on it, right? What originally was going to happen was the owner of the Columbus Crew was going to straight up move the team from Ohio to Austin.
Okay.
Columbus is an original MLS team, and not only that, their stadium they play in is the oldest stadium in the United States that was built specifically for soccer.
Okay.
So one of the most historic soccer franchises in U.S. history.
Got it.
Now, what happened was this. Because of when the Browns moved to Baltimore, Ohio has a law for professional sports that you're not allowed to move a team out of the state before you put it up for sale. And so what happened was somebody bought the Crew, but because Anthony Precourt, the owner of the Crew, had already made such a fucking like crazy impact in Austin, getting like a bunch of votes already happening, already getting a site approved. The
For a
MLS,
stadium.
The MLS was like, you know what? Fuck it. Austin can just have its own team owned by Anthony Precourt, right?
Okay.
Now, here's why that's fucked up. The issue with that is that they completely bypassed all franchise expansion precedents in the MLS. Meaning, there have been cities that have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars marketing to the MLS for 20 years trying to get an MLS team, and all those ones that have spent all this money wasted it because Austin jumped the line over all of them because MLS wanted to have Austin be like the first pro sports. MLS wanted a soccer team.
MLS is fucked up, not me.
Well, the reason I care so much is because my beloved Tampa Bay Rowdies, which is a USL team that is probably one of the most biggest attendance.
Jared, you're a Green Bay Packers fan.
I'm also a Lightning fan. I saw the cup you hoisted. I don't know if you've ever seen a cup you hoisted. Oh wait, you don't have a hockey team.
Don't know what that means.
The Stanley Cup.
You call it the cuppy?
The cup be hoisted.
The cup being hoisted. I thought you were saying the cuppy. Anyway, I just don't think you have a leg to stand on when it comes to telling people what they can be a fan of. As a Packers fan from Tampa.
I don't like when teams bully their way into existence, and they kill. Like Tampa Bay Rowdies want to be MLS team. They have a great fan base. They sell out like USL games, and they just got screwed over.
So what about all the Austin fans who have never had a team to root for that now have a soccer team? What do you say to them?
They can go suck a big fat load out of my ass.
Well, now we're not getting season tickets, that's for sure. So much for that wish. The whole point of the segment was to try to get the team to give us tickets, but I guess we'll just go fuck ourselves, Jared. Also, I grew up in Houston where the Oilers were taken from us. You know, you don't want, here's the thing. You don't want a shitty owner. And if your owner doesn't want to be in your city, he is not going to spend the money to make your team good. So I promise you, the misery of having a shit owner who doesn't care about the team is not worth having the team. Just wait 40 years and you'll get another soccer team. But yeah, the politics of professional sports in general have always been pretty twisted because you're at the beck and call of like 9 billionaires or whatever, however many owners there are, 30 billionaires who are making all the decisions, and they're all got one guy. I don't know. I'm assuming the MLS operates similarly to the NFL, where there's a commissioner of some kind, right? No,
Probably an MLS
Nobody knows.
commissioner. Probably makes like 5 figs.
Well, for shitting all over the MLS, you should know if they have a commissioner.
Sure.
Before we started this podcast, I thought football was life. Now I'm not so sure.
Football is death.
Football is also death. Football is life, but football is also death. No, but seriously, watching the game, one of the things that was cool to me, and it's one of those like old cliches about sports that they teach you about life. But there are particular sports, soccer, baseball, boxing being one that I don't like, that really does still translate heavily, that are like perfect analogies for life. Golf can sometimes be a great one, but soccer in particular, where it's like, you can't do it alone. It's hard as shit. Most of the time when you shoot your shot, it doesn't work out, but you can never stop shooting because, oh man, when it does work out, is it worth it? Like watching all of those fat drunk people strip off their clothes and throw beer and water all over each other when we scored was close, as close to normalcy as I have been since 2019. It was nice. Oi! Fuck off! Anyway, speaking of soccer and sports, today's episode is brought to you by our sports betting sponsor, MyBookie.ag. Jared, you got anything negative to say about them?
I love MyBookie.ag. Great prop bets, live betting.
Great prop bets, Jared. And you're not wrong. If you miss kickoff or puck drop, the opening pitch, doesn't matter. MyBookie.ag's got you covered. They've got live lines. You can get in there, still get some action. I actually prefer live lines, honestly, to the straight-up lines that you get before the game. I like to watch a little bit, get a feel for what I'm seeing, then get in on the live lines at MyBookie.ag. But they've got futures as well, casino, the live casino, where you literally watch like the dealer put the cards or the roulette dealer do the wheel with the friggin' ball. It's awesome. And when you use the code RBP to sign up at MyBookie.ag today, you unlock a double deposit bonus. Stipulations apply, and support the podcast while you do your sports betting. So if you're already a sports bettor or you've been looking for a sports betting home, MyBookie.ag, use the code RBP today. Have fun and play.
Guess what, Ross? If you bet for blood, I watched the highlights.
Yes, what happened? Tell us.
Nick Diaz, he bled.
Did he?
He bled.
Blood! So everyone that bet on blood won?
I imagine, yeah. I mean, he bled.
That's huge for us. I was looking on Twitter. I just kept typing in blood in the search bar. UFC news failed to appear, but it was still disturbing, to be sure. We like to do a little segment here called Insane Headlines of the Day, where we read some wild headlines that we think educate our audience on important topics that are often glazed over or misrepresented by the mainstream media. And we make jokes about those topics, and sometimes I get angry. I can't help it. It might happen today. A little.
I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, so strap in, pansy. First headline from Reuters. I still don't know if that's how you say that.
Reuters.
Fuck. Facebook puts Instagram Kids on hold amid criticism of planned app. I repeat. Facebook puts Instagram Kids on hold amid criticism of planned app. I'm going to read a little bit of this, okay? Because I need to calm down first. Instagram has hit pause on a new app it is creating for kids. The photo-sharing service owned by Facebook Inc. said on Monday, in a move that comes amid growing opposition for the project. Instagram Kids has been touted as requiring parental permission to join and was supposed to provide ad-free, age-appropriate content. But U.S. lawmakers and advocacy groups have urged the social media giant to drop its launch plans, citing safety concerns. Quote, "We won't stop pressuring Facebook until they permanently pull the plug," said Josh Bolen, executive director of Fair Play, an advocacy group focused on kids. Instagram said in a blog post that building Instagram Kids was the right thing to do, but that it was pausing the work and would continue building on its parental supervision tools. Quote, "The reality is that kids are already online, and we believe that developing age-appropriate experiences designed specifically for them is far better for parents than where we are today," it said, noting that there were app versions of Alphabet Inc.'s YouTube, and ByteDance's TikTok for those under 13. Yeah, those haven't been problematic at all. 4 Democratic lawmakers, including U.S. Senator Ed Markey and Richard Blumenthal, fuck these people, said on Monday they were pleased by Facebook's decision, but said the pause is insufficient. Never mind, don't fuck them. Is insufficient. Yeah, no, look, just the fact that this project existed at all is the perfect reminder of where one of the most important companies in the world is currently at, which is not giving a flying fuck about us at all. It's kind of outrageous. Like, everybody knows the internet is problematic, right? Everybody at this point. I don't think there are very many people walking the earth who would argue the internet isn't dangerous. It's unlimited access to fucking everything that humans have created since our inception at your fingertips. So we've seen the issues it's created for children. We've recently talked on this show about how Zuckerberg was told essentially, hey, our algorithm is spreading negativity and making people fucking miserable. And also making teen girls and small girls suffer from mental health issues, and suicide rates are skyrocketing amongst our usership. And he was like, yeah, but if we screw with it, our engagement will go down and we'll make less money. Essentially, allegedly, is what happened. He has said that's bullshit since, that the whole Wall Street Journal story is misleading of what Facebook's actually doing. But it's stuff like this that makes it hard to believe Zuckerberg.
What's your issue specifically with Instagram Kids?
It's like they think we are stupid enough that they can just pull the wool. Like we genuinely buy that. Kids are already online, and we can do this better than you can as parents. That's what they're telling y'all. That they should be in charge of your kids, basically.
And show your kid what your kid should be seeing and not what they could end up seeing if they were on a non...
or just in life,
yes.
living without a fucking device.
Yes.
And it's weird because, like, they reference YouTube in their statement. YouTube has been such an issue for parents. Like, now that I'm at the age where I know all these people who have kids and helping raise a toddler, bro, it's not good in there, man. Their algorithm takes you to all kinds of crazy shit. Like, even if you got all the parental controls down pat, it's still not all the way right. They can get into some weird shit real quick. Facebook knows this. It's just they don't care. In other completely insane Facebook news, from the New York Times, Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook's chief executive, signed off last month on a new initiative codenamed Project Amplify. They can't even do fucking project names without making them sound like something out of a sci-fi movie that the villain would come up with. So the effort, which was hatched at an internal meeting in January, had a specific purpose: to use Facebook's news feed, the site's most important digital real estate, to show people positive stories about the social network.
That's just good marketing. You know,
Called,
nobody can market you better than yourself.
It's true. It's true. It's also called propaganda.
It's another name for it, yes.
The idea, back to the article, was that pushing pro-Facebook news items, some of them written by the company, would improve its image in the eyes of its users. 3 people with knowledge of the effort said. Which
Can't
means,
argue with that.
Hey, not flawed logic. I see no lies. But the move was sensitive because Facebook had not previously positioned the news feed as a place where it burnished its own reputation. Several executives at the meeting were shocked by the proposal, one attendee said, and they've got leaks, which is hilarious to me. Like, at their internal, most secret meetings, there's enough people that are disgruntled and like, what the hell, this place is off the rails, that they're leaking these huge stories now. Like, it's coming apart at the seams in there. He can put forward like this front, but it is coming apart at the seams. Project Amplify punctuated a series of decisions that Facebook has made this year to aggressively reshape its image. Since that January meeting, the company has begun a multi-pronged effort to change its narrative by distancing Mr. Zuckerberg from scandals, reducing outsiders' access to internal data, burying a potentially negative report about its content, and increasing its own advertising to showcase its brand.
Sounds like they're doing well. Usually these are things that you do if you're doing well.
The moves amount to a broad shift in strategy. For years, Facebook confronted crisis after crisis over privacy, misinformation, and hate speech on its platform by publicly apologizing. Mr. Zuckerberg personally took responsibility for Russian interference on the site during the 2016 presidential election and has loudly stood up for free speech online. Facebook also promised transparency into the way that it operated, but the drumbeat of criticism on issues as varied as racist speech and vaccine misinformation has not relented. Disgruntled Facebook employees have added to the furor by speaking out against their employer and leaking internal documents. Last week, the WSJ published articles based on such documents that showed Facebook knew about the many harms it was causing, so Facebook executives, concluding that their methods had done little to quell criticism or win supporters, decided earlier this year to go on the offensive. Said six current and former employees who declined to be identified for fear of reprisal. Yeah, there would probably be reprisal there.
Yeah,
straight up. Yeah,
I've thought about this, Ross. Like, there's a lot. I could definitely whistleblow on this company. A lot of things that you do, including but not limited to spanking my tight little ass in the backyard.
Sure.
Putting my head in front of a wall and throwing my own disc golf discs at it as if it were a basket.
Sure.
But the thing is, I don't go and complain to the authorities or
exactly.
Or
You're
the
not
media.
a rat.
Well, because I know that if I do, you're gonna spank my tight little ass
even harder.
Yeah,
and more frequently.
And I'm actually okay with both the frequency and pain level that you're currently. Yeah,
you're in a good spot. You don't want to switch that up. Fear of reprisal. That's how you run a good company. Fear of reprisal. Business ethics. Quote, they're realizing that no one else is going to come to their defense, so they need to do it and say it themselves, end quote, said Katie Harbaugh, the former Facebook public policy director. That is so fucking funny, though. It's because, like, internally it shows that they're like, it's a sociopathic culture, right? A corporate sociopath. That's what Facebook is at this point. Where internally, they're like, well, surely the media is going to start covering all the positive things we're doing too. And it's like, no, you're not listening, asshole. Stop doing the negative things. It doesn't matter how many positive things you try to pile on top of the negative things. We're asking you to stop the negative things. Don't answer. There's nothing else to talk about. Just stop with the fucking excuses and the other bullshit projects and trying to spit. Nobody's watching these commercials. No, the commercials making fun of Facebook. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Are funnier, more engaging, and better than the actual Facebook commercials, which just make me feel like I'm living in a fucking George Orwell futuristic nightmare.
So as bad as all these things that Facebook is doing are, what's like still unbelievable is that the country of China is like 100 times worse.
I know, but it's like, that's the thing that concerns me, is that Facebook seems to be one of the companies I'm pointing at when I'm saying, like, they're watching China and they're going, well, we're not nearly as bad as these fuckers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like they can use that as an excuse. And I think that's what people in our government started doing too. And it's kind of the same vibe at this point. I get the same vibe from DC, the disconnected, holier than thou, fucking weird, we know better than you do vibe from Facebook that I do from all the douchebags currently making mistakes on the daily to make our lives worse.
Do you remember when the media was being like, man, China had a great response to the pandemic. Like, they really shut it down fast. And it's like, they were like locking people inside their homes against their will.
We don't know. They wouldn't even report their numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what the fuck?
And they caused it. Right?
Remember when Daryl Morey almost got fired because he said that we shouldn't, or actually he said something pro-Hong Kong. But in saying something pro-Hong Kong, I think he was pointing to the fact that, hey, maybe the NBA shouldn't be in such a heavily reliant, codependent relationship with China. China. Anyway, think about Zuckerberg and that meme of him water skiing with the American flag now in this light, and it's fucking scary. Zuck is a menace to society and must be stopped. Bo Burnham's next piece needs to have Mark Zuckerberg 1 and Mark Zuckerberg 2 on it. I have more takes on this, but first, let's take care of some business so I can afford to keep talking. This episode of RBP is brought to you by Cuts Clothing. Fellas, the sport of business means demanding excellence from your craft and wardrobe. Your fits need to be versatile, blending timeless style and comfort so that you look as good as you feel. And for that, there's Cuts Clothing. These are the best t-shirts in the game. If I wasn't wearing the Austin FC jersey today, I'd be wearing one. I wear them several times a week. They're phenomenal, so comfortable, whether you're hustling for a promotion, working on your golf swing, or just chilling with friends. Cuts Clothing keeps you feeling good and looking sharp. Built for performance in the boardroom, in the bar, or the gym. Cuts Clothing keeps you sharp wherever the game takes you. Take a plain tee, but make it Tony Stark. The bleeding edge of fabric technology meets the man confident enough to wear it. That's Cuts Clothing. GQ magazine calls it the only shirt worth wearing. I echo that sentiment. It is a phenomenal t-shirt. The best t-shirts I've ever found. They've been supporting the show for a while now, and I have my closet loaded up with them. They're very, very comfortable. Sometimes I sleep in them. They're just They look good, they feel good, they're simple, they fit any outfit, and that's the thing.
You can never have too many t-shirts either.
When a lot of people I know struggle with finding t-shirts that actually look good on them, that don't make them look like a slob, and nobody wants to button up anymore, man. It's 2021. I'm trying to avoid buttons and ties and suits as much as possible, and that's why I love Cuts so much. Entrepreneurs, mavericks, athletes, podcast hosts, everybody loves Cuts. It's not just a lifestyle. It's not just clothing. It's office leisure apparel for the sport of business. Hashtag business. Get 15% off your first order by going to cutsclothing.com/RBP. 15% off when you go to cutsclothing.com/RBP for the only shirt worth wearing. All right, back to the conversation at hand. You shouldn't even be allowed to advertise to children. Do you understand what advertising is?
I mean, I did like all the advertisements on Nickelodeon growing up because they were all for like Nerf guns and race car beds and shit.
Yeah, I feel like Nick honestly did a pretty good job with what they allowed us to be shown on their channel. It was mostly toys.
Can I blow your mind? Did you ever watch Disney growing up?
No.
I watched a lot of Disney Channel. Disney doesn't have commercials.
Disney Channel was like my little brother's generation a little more, 5 years behind me. It didn't really blow up like for my age group. If you watched Disney and you were in my grade, like you were a little behind culturally.
Well, I'm a little younger than you, so it makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense.
But they're
a little younger than my brother.
Their commercials are all for Disney things, either different TV shows you can watch, a movie that they're going to show in like a week. Like it's all Disney commercials. So it really is commercials, but it's just commercials for the channel.
For more of their products.
Yeah. Which I always thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, they can do that because they're Disney.
Yeah, right?
That's tough.
They own so many things.
Imagine if we were crushing to the point where all of the reads on this show were just for other shows we did.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that would be insane.
Formula Bone.
Yeah, what if that was just the way we supported one of the shows, was just by reading about the other shows at that point. That's how successful Disney is. That's fucking bonkers. Anyway, and just in general though, like advertising is a manipulation, right? You are attempting to get someone to go and do something, to make a purchase decision, right? Which, when it comes to things like clothing or toys, creepy crawlers, whatever, I think that's fair play. That's a little free capitalist society. We're trying to sell each other stuff here, right? It's a big part of what we're doing. Marketing, I love. It's a huge part of my profession. It's probably my favorite part of my profession, honestly. It's beyond the actual performing part. It's the part that takes the most thought and that takes the most strategy and real work. Like this part of it does not feel like work when Jared and I get to sit down and talk about stuff and do jokes. The part that's work is when we leave this room and we have to go market the show and come up with a strategy to market the show successfully, track that success, and then build upon it, right? Like that's the part of this job that feels like work to me. So it's not that I'm against marketing. It's not that I think marketing is wrong. It's that I think marketing to children is wrong. Anything. You see, Jared, I'm not sure if you know this, but children don't have any fucking money. They can't buy your product, you see, because they're fucking children.
Well, maybe they should put their goddamn nose to the grindstone.
That's what they think in China, right?
True.
Did I tell you about when we were watching with the child? We were watching watching some.
You were with Yoda?
No, not that child.
Oh.
Different child. We were with the child and we were watching some show. And it went to the next show. I think this was on YouTube. Speaking of the problematic YouTube. The next show was so Baby Shark is made by a Chinese company. It went from Baby Shark to the next show, which was also made by this same Chinese company. And the song was kind of catchy or whatever, and it looked a little bit like Coco Melon, like on some knockoff shit. And I noticed during the course of the song, though, that the little baby, so they're like singing, they're like, the doorbell makes a ring, the doorbell makes a ring, go and answer the door now and see who it is. And I'm like, wait, what? And it's like, the phone is ringing too, the phone is ringing too, answer the phone and say hello and have a talk with Boo. And I was like, what the fuck? It was teaching a baby. Bro, on the screen is a baby, a fucking infant, like an 8-month-old, like, waka waka, going over and opening a door and like waving at the mailman, like collecting the mail, going over to the phone and like answering the phone. And then it hit me. I was like, yo, the Chinese have got these kids doing cold calls the second they can speak.
Why does your child have the same exact vernacular as Alf?
Waka waka.
That's not Alf.
Who is that? Fozzie Bear. It's Fozzie Bear.
What does Alf sound like? Now that I'm seeing Alf in my head, I'm pretty freaked out. So if you could say something. Say something that Alf would say that's nice.
Spit on it, Ross.
That's not Alf, dude. That's porn Alf. That's just as good. It worked out. That was good. Thank you. That's what I needed. The one endorphin from porn Alf, which is almost certainly a thing that exists. And as an example of why the internet is a trash hole. It's why one of the best songs on Bo Burnham's new album is Welcome to the Internet, right? I think it's actually the most downloaded or streamed one on Spotify because it's not just that it's funny, it's also horrifying. It's one of the reasons that Chappelle's stupid, cheap-ass fucking backroom feeling sketch where he represented the internet in a mall was so funny because the internet sucks. It's also amazing. Much like human beings, it is the best and worst thing ever. There is a duality to us, which is represented through the tools we created. The internet being one of them. That's as deep as I can go with that thought. I fucking hate Mark Zuckerberg, Jared. And your porn Alf now.
Who do you hate more?
Instagram kids. The person who came up with that name is the person I hate more. But like, you can't advertise to kids. Not food, not toys, not fucking cigarettes or tobacco or goddamn McDonald's, certainly not social media. The fact that Zuckerberg thought that they could do this, like execute this Instagram kid shit like it's some effort by them to make the internet healthier for kids, is patently delusioned. We are not this stupid. They see this as an opportunity to grab market share early.
Yeah, they're grooming.
That is all. They do not care about your children. They do not care about you. You are a follower to them. One follower. They want to make it 2 or 3 or 4 by getting your kids too. And that is your worth to them. They quantify your entire existence by calculating influence and how much money you'll spend on certain things a year so that they can push you advertising for those things. And that's fucking it. And that's the game. Here's what I'm saying.
I was going to say, we kind of do that.
But it's not the game that's sick.
Yeah.
It's the game being used for the wrong reasons. If you and me were to say, okay, now we've got a successful show. We're doing really well with our marketing. We know we can influence. What if we influence kids so that, Jared, they have a longer period of time in their lives where they are under our influence and therefore more likely to give us their money? And then hopefully you would say something like, well, Ross, we shouldn't do that because their young, feeble, undeveloped brains can't make complex decisions yet, and you talk about some pretty adult shit.
Like porn Alf.
And I'd be like, you know what, Jared, maybe kids shouldn't be exposed to porn Alf. Maybe porn Alf isn't the best thing for our children so that they grow up with a healthy fucking sense of self and a feel for the world. And then you'd be like, you're right. And then we'd move on with our lives. What happened at Facebook is much worse. Because they said, we want to get as many kids as possible, children, using electronic devices with our apps on them as early as possible. That is the only decision that was made there. Just because you slap some cute fucking branding on it and release a press statement that makes you seem even more disconnected from reality by trying to make yourself in line with YouTube does not change anything. This company is being run by morons who don't care about us, just like our country is. It stinks. It's also something we have to talk about and continue to make fun of. It's the only way to keep up with what the fuck this guy's doing on a day-to-day. It's every week now. I get another story where I'm just like, Jesus Christ. And here's, to close my point, Jared. Did you ever get those candy cigarettes from the ice cream man as a kid?
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I used to get those.
So for some of you who are too young, because they certainly have made this illegal by now, God damn it, I really hope we have. We made the Marlboro Man illegal. Tell me they can't sell candy cigarettes anymore.
Joe Camel looked sick though. I wanted to be Joe Camel.
You mean sick with cancer or sick with like tight?
Well,
because he was both.
Yeah, he looked sick tight because of the cancer.
I'm fucking dying. Yeah, it was tight.
You ever see? I actually saw the other day. I was on a pornography website, and there was a banner ad, and there was Joe Camel banging porn elf.
God damn it! You're just a pervert, man. You know that? And it's because we got served candy cigarettes as a kid. But if you don't know this, so like you'd be in your house, and an ice cream truck would drive by, playing some creepy ass music. You would go outside, everybody would run outside, the ice cream man, fuck! You'd go grab your mom's purse, you'd rip all the cash out of her wallet, right? She'd be like, what the hell are you doing? You'd be like, shut up, bitch! You run out into the street, some kid's like trying to get out in front of you, fucking stiff arm him into the ground, he breaks his arm, he's screaming and crying, you keep going, you don't care. You get to the truck, and some fucking pedophile that's been out of prison for 3 months swings open a window, and he's like, what can I get for you, little boy? And that's childhood in the US in the 90s, except one of the things on the menu, by the way, the menu is the whole car. You know how you see a vehicle drive by that's wrapped with some dumbass advertisement? You know who invented that? The fucking ice cream man. These people were like, well, why don't we just stick the items all over the outside of the fucking car so that no matter what, if you're looking at the car, you're looking at the menu. Genius move, speaking of marketing.
And there's always at least like 4 pictures of scary clowns on the side. And then they just tape like a Bluetooth speaker to the top and
Dude.
blast.
Growing up in Florida and Texas, this is what it was all about, man. Trying to get to the ice cream man as quickly as possible so he didn't run out of candy cigarettes before you got there because it was the hottest item on the menu. All the kids wanted to look like bad boys. Here's the way they worked, and girls. Here's the way they worked. So you'd get up to the car and you'd be like, I want one of those fucking ice cream cones that's got nuts in it and shit and wrapped in aluminum.
Drumstick.
Drumstick, thank you. Marketed by this terrifying clown here. And he'd be like, would you also like some candy cigarettes, little boy? And you'd be like, abso-fucking-lutely, old man. Hit me with those right now, pedo. And he'd be like, that's $7.99. You'd give him your mom's stolen money, and he'd give you these cigs. And what they were was a pack of fucking, like, Altoids or some shit that were shaped like cigs, except when you puff them, you would blow sugar everywhere. Yes, I said sugar. And I'm pretty sure it was probably just pure.
Definitely gave you cancer.
And diabetes and all of the other things that you don't want. And yet somehow there they were. And honestly, it was between the candy cigs, watching Westerns where everyone is smoking cigarettes the entire time, then most of the movies I like, everyone's smoking cigarettes. Like, there was no chance I wasn't going to smoke cigarettes. On top of that, my parents are going, don't smoke cigarettes. And at school, they're going, don't smoke cigarettes. And I just wanted to do everything that those two people told me not to do. It literally is like I was raised to get addicted to nicotine in this country. That's fucking crazy. And it's in part because our advertising is completely out of control. Another example, Big League Chew. That's the most flagrantly inappropriate product maybe ever. I got addicted to dipping tobacco for 16 years, man.
Because of Big League Chew?
I had a lot of Big League Chew growing up, Jared. I'm just saying, if they're doing like a fucking focus group, they got 30 dudes, and they're asking them like, did you do Big League Chew, and do you do tobacco? Or did you? I'm one of them. I'm one of the victims of Big League Chew. And I demand a lawyer represent me in a case against them. I had to have a tooth replaced.
Well,
Never mind the kind bar. My gum line is receding. Sometimes my breath stinks.
Hey, you shouldn't have brought this up because now Kind's going to come back and be like, hey, give us that $500 back.
I didn't sign shit.
Your gums got depleted from years.
Hey, honestly, they cared so little about that situation that they were just like, this is so funny because if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I lost a tooth eating a Kind bar. It snapped off, all right? It was a partially fake tooth. It had been capped and not capped well. So it snaps off, and I'm like, fuck. I'm really upset. I go to the dentist, and it turns out he's like, if I cap it again, it's just going to come back off next time you eat a Kind bar or anything crunchy. It's not just about Kind bar. I was like, damn. He's like, yeah, it's been on forever since you were a little kid or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Let's just get you a fucking fake tooth. And I'm like, all right, cool, let's do it. Turns out it's like $10,000. And I was like, son of a bitch. So I hit up Kind Bar and I'm like, hey, oi, bruv, fuck off. You took one of my teeth. Make this right. And they were like, what? And I think internally they probably had like a little email chain going with like one of their lawyers and like the CEO. They're like, Al, or like, actually, no, fuck that. It wasn't even an email chain. He yelled down the hall, Al, there's some jackass who lost a tooth. We got another one over here. He's like, send him $300 and tell him to suck your dick. And that's what they did. And they didn't ask me to sign anything, and they were amazing. I don't have enough kind things to say about Kind Bar. It's an amazing company. They're not a sponsor of this show in any way, shape, or form, but they also should not have in any way, shape, or form sent me money, and they did. They owed me nothing. The incident had nothing to do with them at all, and they knew that. And they still sent me like $300. That's fucking, that's a great company.
How did they send you a check?
Yeah.
What did it say on the memo?
Tooth. Holy shit. Yeah, I also am worried about Fortnite now. Like, that's one of the places that I really like programming our damn kids of freaking video games now. So maybe we should just shut the internet off and start society over again. Try again, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I feel like that would be best. And Jared, we've spent a lot of time the last year and a half between jokes talking about mental health and ways to improve our lives with mindfulness and conscious living. And if you have 10 minutes, Headspace can change your life, and they really have already technically, because today's episode is brought to you by Headspace. Headspace is your daily dose of mindfulness in the form of guided meditations in an easy-to-use app. One of the only meditation apps advancing the field of mindfulness and meditation through clinically validated research, so whatever the situation, Headspace really can help you feel better. If you're overwhelmed, they've got a 3-minute SOS meditation for you. If you need some help falling asleep, Headspace has wind-down sessions that their members, including Jared and I, swear by. And for parents, Headspace even has morning meditations you can do with your kids that are great. And that's such a good practice to be able to build with your kids, especially if you're somebody like Jared and I and most of the people I freaking know, man. Mindfulness is not a thing that we were taught as children. Meditation and that ability to take time out of your day to carve peace for yourself, carve out some peace for yourself, that wasn't a thing that we were really handed as kids, and it's a powerful tool. So Headspace can help you give that to your kids as well, and to yourself. Don't get me wrong. It's most important that you get yourself some meditation. So Headspace's approach to mindfulness can reduce stress, improve sleep, boost focus, increase your overall sense of well-being. And if you're sitting there like, yeah, meditation, horse hooey. Yeah, Jared and I have spoken to this many times as well. We both were in your camp, all right? Then we both tried it. And it's one of those things where if you're not willing to try something, but you are willing to shit on it, you're just being a dick. Mm-hmm. And if you go try it, it doesn't work. That's a different story, which is exactly what Jared and I have said. Like, yo, there is no reason for you to not go and try this. You get a free month.
Yeah,
they're sponsors of our show. You get a free month, a free attempt here for a month.
An entire month of their product. Like, literally, if you don't believe in it, you can try it for free.
And if you're like, oh no, I'm weird and meditation doesn't help me at all, I'm the first human, then you can just cancel. So it's backed by 25 published studies on its benefits, 600,000 5-star reviews, 60 million downloads, and Headspace makes it easy for you to build a life-changing meditation practice with mindfulness that works for you on your schedule, anytime, anywhere. And that's a huge part of it, Jared. You deserve to feel happier. Headspace is meditation made simple. Go to headspace.com/Ross today. That's headspace.com/Ross for a free 1-month trial with access to Headspace's full library. It's not like a 1-month trial and you only get like a 3-minute meditation or something. It's their full library of meditations for every situation. It's the best deal offered right now. Go today. Headspace.com/Ross. Jared, to get positive, I was listening to some Dave this morning. And when I say that, if you're over the age of 30, there's a pretty good chance you're thinking of Dave Matthews. And I'm not saying you couldn't be younger and think that too. But like Dave, for me growing up, was Dave Matthews.
Is it now Lil Dicky?
But he still goes by, he's still Little Dicky to me. Yeah. I thought about that, and I'm like, no, he's not Dave to me. Dave, it still makes me think of Dave the Show, for sure. But Lil Dicky is Lil Dicky. So anyway, shit mental health day, weaning off meds, final stage, yada, yada. So I needed some positive tunes to pick me up this morning, and I picked Dave Matthews. Ants Marching. One of the all-time great upbeat songs.
Do, 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 do. Do, do, do.
But I accidentally listened to the lyrics, which I will read for you now. He wakes up in the morning, does his teeth bite to eat, and he's rolling. Never changes a thing. The week ends, the week begins. She thinks, We look at each other, wondering what the other is thinking. But we never say a thing. And these crimes between us grow deeper.
How are you not singing? How are you just saying it?
Goes to visit his mommy. No, I'm not going to sing it because I want it to be sad first. Then we can sing it together happily. She feeds him well. His concerns, he forgets them and remembers being small, playing under the table and dreaming.
Take these chances.
Sorry.
Place them in the box until... What? I don't know the words. I thought it was place them in the box until we quietly die, lights down you, or quietly cry, lights down you up and die.
Here's the thing about Dave Matthews.
You don't know what he's saying.
You don't need to know the words. You just need to say generally what he's saying.
Me in the box until me cry out sometime. Lights down you up and die.
Yeah, that's Dave. If you're like, oh, these mumble rappers, I can't understand what they're saying. Fucking Dave Matthews invented mumble rap.
And then Justin Vernon he perfected it, right?
Yeah.
You ever read the lyrics to any Bon Iver song? What the fuck are they talking about?
Or song titles? What the shit is going on over there? Yeah, that guy's living on another planet where there's a lot of beautiful music, but also just a lot of nonsensical fucking things that I'm not smart enough to understand. Anyway, it turns out Ants Marching is one of those sneaky, secret fucking songs that's actually kind of sad.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
It's about getting old sucking ass.
Yeah, those are not the vibes. Like, those are not the vibes that I was picking up when I was 12, running around Camp Ozark, singing Ants Marching at the top of my lungs. And I think this should be illegal. Just like marketing to children. Making happy-sounding songs, incredibly sad lyrics, that's like entrapment. And it happens constantly.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, you're like, oh, really upbeat song, Dave Matthews happy. The song is called Ants Marching because when you get older, we're just a bunch of ants marching around.
Doing your work. Over and over, day
repeatedly,
after day, right?
Boring, awful, soul-crushing.
Yeah, and here's the thing. To take it to a positive place, I think not acknowledging the sort of soul-crushing nature of life makes it far more soul-crushing than talking about it, finding ways to improve it, and working around it. And certainly one of the ways to improve it is by making great-sounding music that lifts people up, right? So, I'm joking when I say it's entrapment. It's important that we're able to convey these things to each other in a way that isn't just sad all the time. It's why we, like last year when I kind of lost my balance in life, if the show wasn't fun anymore. We can talk about serious stuff and put jokes in it and make the show still fun. And that's the whole goal here now. It's like, there's a big difference. We've got to be able to talk about serious things together, the humans. We're not good at it. We stink at it for the most part. And we got to be able to do it with some levity, some lightness, and some humor.
I'm not going to lie, Ross.
Taking Jared out back and spanking his tight little ass.
I didn't listen to the last 1 minute monologue you just gave.
Sure.
All that went through my head was how goddamn good Dave Matthews Band is.
He's amazing.
The amount of hits that man has.
They are amazing. I'm sorry. Because it's like, for everybody who's seen Dave live, you know this. Like, Dave is a phenomenal musician, amazing vocalist, but the band is crazy. It's a big part, and they lost one of those OG dudes recently too. Last several years. They also dumped 100 tons of shit on it to Chicago or whatever.
Yeah, I didn't know this when we did that whole segment about Dave Matthews Band's. Well, Boyd Tinsley specifically, the violinist, tour bus dumping 800 pounds of poop onto an architecture.
Still one of the funniest things we've ever talked about.
What I didn't know was that Boyd Tinsley, the guy who's piss and shit.
He's the one who's passed.
No, he's alive.
Nope, still here.
But he was kicked out of the band, I believe.
Oh, for what? I don't want to know.
Being a shitty person. That's what I hear.
Great.
But, I mean, the amount of bangers.
I think we praised Boyd hard during that poo segment.
I mean, he's a phenomenal violinist.
I feel like we may have said it was an honor to have Boyd Tinsley's poo sprayed on you. I may have made that joke. If I didn't, I'll make it now. Regardless of the fact that he's been booted from
he's an unbelievable violinist, of course. But, I mean, the amount of, obviously, right now, this is two white guys talking about Dave Matthews. This is maybe the whitest conversation we've ever
neither
had.
one of us is a violinist. Also, Dave is white. I feel like that gives us some credence.
But my point being, the amount of song, Gray Street, Space Between, Crash, Crush,
Hey,
Lie in Our Graves.
Speaking of childhood, one time I had a pastor tell me, speaking of childhood and Dave Matthews, one time I had a pastor tell us, just preaching, large group of kids. He was like, you have to be careful what music you listen to, because you're letting the devil into your heart. You know, when you listen to rap music with bad lyrics, or you listen to Dave Matthews. And we were like, what? And he was like, yeah, Dave Matthews. Crash Into Me is about sex.
You told this story before. It's
We were
about
like,
a peeping
what?
Tom.
What?
It is literally about a peeping Tom. It's very creepy.
But
that should also be illegal. It should be illegal to make me like a
Peeping Tom is
song.
illegal, Jared. You can't do that. So you need to stop if you've been.
What?
You
No,
can't do peeping
No,
Tom
I'm not.
stuff.
The peeping Tom is not the thing.
Oh, sorry.
It should be illegal. Just like you think it should be illegal to make a happy sounding song about something sad, you shouldn't be able to make a cool, awesome, vibey song about something creepy as fuck. Now, whenever I'm banging Crash Into Me,
Crash into me. And you're just like, do we have to?
like, now I'm just thinking about, like, oh, great. Now people think I'm just, like, looking at them change.
I mean, you do yell out some pretty perverted shit before the show. Man. But yeah, it's just a weird element of music that sometimes will strike me when I realize one of my all-time favorite songs has a completely different meaning. The ultimate example being Semi-Charmed Life is a song about methamphetamine use that Micah and I discussed way back in the day, probably like 350 episodes ago. Go read the lyrics to Semi-Charmed Life and have yourself a good laugh, and then go listen to whatever episode we discussed that on originally. But Jared, I have a challenge for you now, if you will. Humor me. Fill in the blank. Brush, floss, then...
Ross.
If you didn't say rinse, you may not be getting a complete clean.
That
Mouthwash
close.
is a key part of your whole mouth's health because it gets between teeth to kill bad breath germs and help strengthen enamel. And thankfully, the oral care experts at Quip created a super simple way to make mouthwash part of your daily oral care routine. You know Quip, long-standing sponsor of our show, the makers of the greatest toothbrush ever made, the electronic toothbrush and floss you hear all about all the time because they've launched a new mouthwash to help you complete your clean. We are discussing them today as well. Comes with a refillable dispenser. Delightful to use, sleek enough to fit on any bathroom counter. Historically, Jared, mouthwash dispensers, not the best. We're all familiar with the green, slimy crust that has plagued far too many of our lives. No longer. Not with this dispenser.
It's a great dispenser.
It is. It's beautiful.
Sleek.
It's beautiful.
Looks like Swedish inspired, potentially.
Right? Like a nice piece of expensive furniture that also holds your mouthwash.
Mm-hmm.
And kills bad breath germs and helps prevent cavities and leaves you feeling fresh thanks to a formula that gives your mouth everything it needs and nothing it doesn't. So, add a mouthwash refill plan and make sure your rinse never runs out. With a customizable subscription, you get refills automatically delivered straight to your door every 3 months. This is the biggest thing about Quip to me. It's not only that they have the best products so that my toothbrush and my toothpaste and my teeth and everything about my mouth are properly taken care of, but also that stuff all runs out and or becomes worn and needs to be replaced. I often forget, end up using a toothbrush too long. My days of that type of shit ended long ago, thanks to Quip sponsorship. So you never run out of mouthwash because the new one shows up when the old one is empty. Ta-da! Genius, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty awesome. So stay on top of your swish without lugging any bottles home from the store. It's refreshing. With affordable refills plus free shipping, so easy to keep your whole mouth healthy. Join the over 5 million mouths already using Quip. Start swishing today. If you go to getquip.com/RBP5 right now, you get $5 off a Mouthwash Starter Kit. That's $5 off a Mouthwash Starter Kit, including a refillable dispenser and 90-day supply of their concentrated formula at getquip.com/RBP5, spelled GETQUIP.com/RBP5. Quip, the Good Habits Company. Jared, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know the Dr. Evil pants I've been wearing for several months now, pretty much nonstop,
Yeah.
from a great Australian company called Zane Robe that I'm a big fan of, but it's neither here nor there. The point is this. I wear them like 3 times a week. I love these pants. They're super comfortable. Hot as shit in Austin. Most of the summer. We just hit the part where it's like kind of nice again and you can get some different outfits in. Maybe even layer up soon. We'll see. It's friggin' September 27th, by the way. The point is, I always feel bad for some reason. I shame myself. I'm like, you've worn these pants twice this week, you lazy fuck. But here's the thing. If they're not dirty, you're good. Did you sweat bullets in those pants? Then no, you shouldn't wear them. But I just feel like I've been giving myself way too much grief over the years about this. You don't want to wear the same tee. And if you're a particularly sweaty man or you're like you swamp ass all day, like I get it. But I sweat from my pits almost exclusively.
Yeah, I cannot wear the same shirt twice ever because I am a very big pit sweater.
Yeah.
As
Big pit boy.
Nobody's really commented on it, but like in most,
Give him a look. Want to give him a look? See?
yes,
That's not bad. That's nothing. That's
you should
a small
see
Jared.
in the middle of
pit
summer.
stain.
Some of the episodes, literally, like I'm watching them to like pull clips from, and I'm like, holy shit! It looks like I just got a baptism,
Yeah.
armpit baptism, holy water. Now I will say this, Ross.
What does that look
totally
like?
agree with
just
you.
dip the armpit down
Yeah.
into the water.
I totally agree with you,
Then
Ross.
the hair is hanging from it, just wet. Sexy.
I always rewear pants. Pants are maybe not as much during COVID if I'm out in public, right? Because like you could have the stuff on it. I don't know, but like in college, for example, when
That's
most
why I just didn't go in public.
sure when most human beings in college do their laundry like twice a semester.
Uh-huh.
I was rewearing pants like 8 times before I'd wash them. 'Cause in winter, I'm not sweating in Wisconsin. It's cold as shit. It's like -45 out. Like, what
Yeah, I see like the same 5 people every day too. It's like, who am I kidding here? You know?
not trying to impress content.
Like, I don't.
Cade.
Well, no, I just don't think your pants should be. It's like, it's fine. Just wear the pants you love. Just don't get them dirty. And if they get dirty, then wash them. But like, I think repeating pants often, trash or not trash. I'm saying not trash. Hard, definitive stance here. Not trash.
Those pants do look good on you, I will say.
Thank you. These are very old sweatpants. Same company.
I think they would look better on my floor though.
Jesus, Jared. I got a question for you. You horny bastard. What's your favorite color?
What do you think it is?
Blue.
Red.
Red?
Go Badgers.
Why'd you look down like you were wearing red? You're wearing yellow.
I thought it was obvious. I red Wisconsin
Okay,
Badgers.
Badgers red guy?
all day.
Did it? So, cause see, my favorite color is not attached to is sports. It's just forest green.
I don't consider my attachment to Wisconsin red a sports thing. It's more of like a life thing, right? Wisconsin is more.
Because of the blood you root for every day. Y'all thought that was special. The MyBookie special was so funny. Oh, yeah, root for blood. That's every day of Jared's life. He comes in here and tells me about it.
Yeah.
I hope you bleed today, Ross.
That's
I'm like,
what-
Jared, you got to stop saying shit like that.
Yeah. So when Ross sleeps, what I do is I put a bunch of cocaine under his nose
Yep.
in hopes that it'll deviate his septum and he'll just start bleeding.
Just poke me, dude, with a knife. I don't know why I would suggest that to you.
Well, I know you like Artie Lang, so I want you to like,
Don't look that up. Don't Google what he's saying. But anyway, green is my favorite color, Jared.
Verde.
Yeah, Verde. I told you I'm all in. Verde.
So I have a question. Did you ever plan to talk about the dynamo on Banging the Can?
Yeah, we're still going to. You have to cover the all of the Houston sports teams on the Houston Sports Podcast that are worthy. But they have to do something worth talking about. I'm not just going to fucking update everybody on the Dynamo every week. That's boring as shit. I don't even know the name of the single player on their team. They don't have Stuver. So
How are you going to tell people about it though if you're a bigger fan of Austin FC? That's what
I'm
I
a
wanna know.
huge fan of Austin FC now, which is why I don't know. I'm going to have to talk about it some on the show, I think. I don't know. I feel like this transplant-ass city has no ownership over this football club anyway. You're telling me it shouldn't even be here in the first place.
It shouldn't be.
So we might as well just fucking go all in. And really, I need a connection to this city beyond being here physically.
You own a house.
That isn't good enough. I've been here for a decade, bro. There is no shared cultural thing between me and Austin. What, tacos?
Yeah.
You think we didn't have fucking tacos in Houston?
Thundercloud.
There is no food item you could name. That's the point.
Thundercloud
Houston was
sucks.
dude, it's a god tier food city.
The Wondershausen.
True.
Question.
That's it. That's my biggest Austin cultural thing in my life is a smoothie that I have a couple times a week.
More than that. You probably have 3 or 4.
I love it.
Wondershausen.
All right, I have it a lot.
If you ever notice, what is that disgusting vomit-looking smoothie that Ross has on camera every once in a while?
Not today though.
No, what's that one called again?
I actually haven't. This one is the Muscle Mania, Jared. It's for my hulking muscles so that they get as much mania as possible.
Yeah, Ross is trying to have manic muscles. His muscles, pure mania.
What adjective can we put before this? Or after this, excuse me. What about mania?
Everybody wants their muscles to act erratically and get really transfixed on certain unimportant tasks.
I want huge ups and downs, big swings with my muscles, Jared. Some days I want them huge and large and pulsating. Some days I want to have teensy tiny little bitty muscles like a baby.
So, Ross, question.
Yep.
And I already know the answer because I'm going to make the answer up right now.
Sure.
If the Tampa Bay Rays play the Houston Astros in the playoffs,
Yeah, dude.
you will be paying for you and me to go see them in Houston.
Absolutely.
Fuck yes.
1,000%.
Fuck yes.
Yes, Jared.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that's if I can't get us free tickets. I just want to be clear.
Oh, true.
If I can get us free tickets, I will not be paying for us to go because that would be fucking stupid. But regardless, we are for sure 1,000% going. We may just have to go to Houston for a week.
Can I wear my Rays stuff into Minute Maid?
Yes, absolutely. We are a friendly people in Houston. For real though, I've been to a lot of Houston sporting events. I've never seen anybody beyond a couple jokes thrown their way be given a hard time about wearing an opposing jersey, and that is in part because we do have. I'm gonna admit something that you will never hear me say on Banging the Can. We have weird fans in Houston. The different teams have different cultural fans, but like, I'll break it down at some point on the show. So no, I will discuss it. But it is just a weird sports town at this point. We've been through a lot of weird stuff. It's honestly why I fit in so nice. Why I love it so much. It's like it's a mess. It's just a mess, a beautiful mess. I'm not calling myself a beautiful mess, Jared. Quit looking at me like that. Okay, I have one more story and then we can go. I took a Lyft last week. I've told you all a lot of stories over the past 2 years about Lyft drivers and funny ones and random ones and all the weird shit that I've had to deal with as a result of the issues I've had driving, man. It got to the point even with the Tesla and the full self-driving because Elon wouldn't come on the show and give me the confidence that I needed behind the wheel that I'm not even driving the car much anymore because it's just too much of a fucking burden. Like it takes me 30 minutes to calm down once I get to the office so that I can even start to calm down so that I can do the show. You know, it's just like, it's too much. Riding in the Lyft gives me more time, 30 minutes to work on the show. So it's like, I can justify the $30 a hell of a lot easier than I can justify the 30 minutes on the back end plus the pain and suffering. Just to give a brief explanation. So I'm in Lyfts a lot. I stopped using Uber because I don't like them as a company, not as a group of people driving. The drivers are not at fault. I don't like Uber corporate. All right? I'm 34. I take stances now. But I'm serious. This is what they mean when they say vote with your dollar. Don't spend money with shitty people. Don't give them your money. If you don't like their policies as a company or you think they do things that hurt our society, don't give them your money. That's more power for them to continue to fuck us in the ass. So I'm in a Lyft and I've got a California driver. So everybody in Austin is aware of the stereotypes at this point that there are so many Californians coming and it's the thing that's ruining the city. And everybody in Texas is aware that the stereotype of Californians is that they're super liberal douchebags who ruin everything that they get their hands on. Just generally, that is the vibe. So I'm in the car with this dude and I'm expecting him to be very Austin-y to try to kind of offset. He's like, yeah, I'm a California guy. I'm like, cool. The dude does the thing that sometimes people do where like as a Texan and as a dude who used to work for a company that just had some strange branding, like I'll just say, people sometimes assume that I'm racist. And they'll make racist jokes to me and I look at them like, the fuck is wrong with you? And then they're like, oh shit, this dude isn't a racist. And it's weird. That's how I feel about I can't remember what my point was with that story.
This California, he's the opposite of a California guy, you said, right?
Right.
He's a California stereotype.
Oh, yes. So he did this. He did the thing. Damn, my brain just fucking shut off. What are we at? The 1 hour and 15 minutes. So that's when we know that my brain just goes, nope, you're done. But let me finish the story. So this dude did that thing. I expect the normal California experience here, and he went full anti. He was basically like, yeah, fuck all those Californians. And I was like, yeah, but Cali's pretty tight, right? Like minus the taxes and shit. And he was like, dude, it's so liberal over there that he goes, it's so left that it's right. And I was like, no, not because I disagree with that statement. I don't give a shit. I'm not in California nearly enough to give a fuck about y'all's politics, taxes, or any of that stuff. Beyond what happens with our general elections and how California impacts them. I didn't want to hear this shit. I don't need this shit. This dude thought I'll play up like the big Texas vibes. Like, I guess I struck him as maybe not the typical Austinite or something. I don't know. We have the reputation here that we are very left. Austin. It's the most liberal city in Texas. It gets made fun of constantly. I've got friends who, since I moved here, were like, you're going to turn into Austin trash. And I was like, fuck you, man. And then like 8 years later, I was like, yep, that happened super fast. Podcasting Tesla douche. But this dude sucked so hard. He was just like I didn't tip the dude because of this.
Do you think maybe the reason he was acting kind of like weird was because his muscles were manic?
It's possible. It was just deeply upsetting. I was like, fuck, man. I've started putting the thing where I request no conversation. And I put my headphones in at the beginning of the ride. I say, yo, I'm going to get some work done. If you need anything, holler at me. And they're always like, why the fuck would I need you? And I'm like, exactly. And then I go to work. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just, I can't anymore. And sometimes I'll get in the cab, I'll call it a cab, and I'll feel bad because I'm an empath, so I can tell the driver needs some human connection and is looking for some conversation, and I'm just like, buddy, it ain't me. Because God knows what's coming out of your mouth next. You just don't need to share on that level in the service industry. It's weird. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah. If you want him not to talk to you, what you can do is...
Well, just don't talk to me about fucking politics or religion or sports if you're not from Houston. I don't care, right? Like, we don't know each other. Why are we sharing our most personal fucking beliefs with each other? That's part of the problem with the internet. You don't know anything else about them. How could you possibly understand why they think what they think? Doesn't make sense. So stop arguing. Or go have a conversation face to face with a real fucking human. Get off your phone. For Christ's sake, don't download Instagram, kids.
But if you don't want your Uber driver or Lyft driver to talk to you, what you can do is put your phone on full blast and start playing Porn Alf.
And right after Porn Alf ends,
spit on it.
You go to patreon.com/Ross Bolen podcast and just listen to more RBP. It's far better than speaking with your stranger Uber driver. As I encourage you to become, to seek out human contact, I'm also encouraging you to actively shut it out.
With us.
By using us, yes, and our product.
And then after that...
Now I'm Zuckerberg.
Make sure to support our sponsors.
It comes full circle, man. The whole show, we come full circle with our lessons and our learning. We're like South Park. Many people have said, man, RBP is really becoming like the South Park of podcasts, you know? And I'm like, me and Jared really appreciate that. What a sweet compliment. And then they start to argue about which one of us is Matt Stone and which one of us is Trey Parker. And then it always ends with a conversation about ALF porn. Somehow. Not sure how. You want to save that? You want to do this question? What this fucking... Oh, we had a question off TikTok.
We did have a question off TikTok.
I like this. This is one of the features of TikTok, other than poisoning our youth and making us all just insatiably horny all of the time. It's one of the things about TikTok that I enjoy, that you can pose these questions and then creators can take them and create content around them.
So this question we had from a TikTok follower is, what's the best Boston movie? So the first two that stood out to me were The Town and Good Will Hunting. Of those two...
How do you not say The Departed in there? How's that not one of the ones that stands out?
Oh, I guess that is Boston, huh?
Yeah, bro.
I always thought that was...
Okay, I totally agree with the other two, though. Those are great picks. The Town and Good Will Hunting are great Boston movies, but The Departed is Boston, yes, sir.
I thought The Departed was Cleveland.
No, that's the Drew Carey show.
Oh, I see. I always get those confused.
Yeah, Cleveland rocks. Yeah, you remember?
Ohio.
Great show, by the way.
For me, it's The Town. I can't watch Good Will Hunting because Matt Damon is evil. We discussed this. I don't support evil actors of any kind, including any terrorist. Do not support them.
Sure, of course. They're the same. Evil actors and terrorists.
Now, The Town for me is very entertaining. Now, it's pre-J-Lo Ben Affleck.
It's also pre-Rincoin, which is... It makes me still like Jeremy Renner in it. Is it pre-Benifer?
Well, it's post-Benifer round
1
1 and pre-Benifer round 2.
Yeah. I think we're on 3 now.
Do you know what's actually crazy? Funny fact about The Town. They had to spend $200 million in post-production to Photoshop out all of the Dunkin' Donuts that Ben Affleck was carrying in every single shot. They had to come and hire somebody to edit out every cup. Oh, because they couldn't get into the sponsor.
Sponsorship-wise?
Isn't that crazy?
Are you being serious?
Yeah. Ben Affleck refused to be filmed without carrying Dunkin' Donuts in every single shot.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Which movie?
The Town.
The Town. I'm Googling this to make sure you're not bamboozling us. Who knows, though? What's the TikTok question?
What's the best Boston movie?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so what is your final answer?
The Town.
The Town?
Mm-hmm.
I'm
You
saying...
know it's definitely not? It's definitely not that movie with Jimmy Fallon where he's like a crazy Boston Red Sox season ticket holder.
Holy shit. Nobody watched that.
Fever Pitch? Is that what it's called?
Isn't that like low-key a fucking cult classic now where people like love that movie? I think it is. I'm serious.
Who was the love interest in that?
God knows. I never watched that shit.
I'm going to guess it was Jennifer Garner.
I'm going to say Mystic River is my favorite Boston movie.
It was Drew Barrymore.
Throwing you for a loop. Mystic River. No, I'm just kidding. The other ones that are extremely popular and need to be mentioned, and there are way more than you would think. Boondock Saints. The Fighter. Fever Pitch. 21. That fucking 21. The Social Network, technically.
Oh, yeah.
For a big chunk of it, right? Field of Dreams, American Hustle. But those I don't know if they really count as much as like Boston movies. It's a baseball movie and a American Hustle movie.
Can I blow your mind?
Yeah?
Do you know who directed Fever Pitch? It's one of the easiest movies to make fun of ever.
Ben Affleck.
The Farrelly brothers.
See? I think it's a secret good movie.
Who also, if you're not familiar, did so many goddamn hits. Dumb and Dumber, Kingpin, There's Something About Mary, Me, Myself, and Irene, Osmosis Jones, Shallow House, Stuck on You, The Heartbreak Kid. I don't know what the hell that
Who
was.
made Patriots Day?
Green Book. Very award-winning film.
Spotlight, another great Boston movie. I Googled now. I'm cheating at this point.
Yeah.
Just to be clear. I've used the computer. I've used the technology. I'm not going to be like Zuck and lie to your face or ear hole. I would never do that. All things considered, I think if you really made me pick, my favorite is Good Will Hunting. I think it's the best Boston movie. If you made me pick one for rewatching purposes, I could only watch one Boston movie ever again. I think it's The Town.
Jeremy Renner.
And then my favorite is The Departed. So I don't know what the fuck's wrong with me.
I just want to point out for everybody listening who's waiting for the eventual reveal of this, you really think it's possible that the people who made The Town spent $200 million photoshopping out Dunkin' Donuts because Ben Affleck refused?
Oh, no. I had pulled this up like 10 minutes ago and didn't say anything because I thought you were just a dumbass and didn't want to make you feel bad.
No, I was fucking with you. I was trolling you. I was trying to get you to believe it. And
I'm not sure you know how trolling works. You can't just yell out something that you think is a fact or want me to think is a fact, and then me responding or not responding counts as a troll job.
I thought you were going to go along with it. I thought we were both going to joke about it together, and then you asked me if it was real, and I'm like,
what's wrong
wait.
with you? You need to go watch the Tekashi 6ix9ine documentary immediately after this and learn how to troll, Jared. That's like me saying that I trolled everyone by incorrectly stating the population of China for 120 consecutive episodes.
You did.
It's just nonsense. Like, by the way, closing question, is the Drew Carey show not streaming anywhere? What happened there? How come every other show gets all this fucking syndication and love? King of Queens is on 40 channels.
The cast of Drew Carey show is very good. I forgot the dude's name. It's like Detlef Schrempf or whatever, but it's not.
That's an NBA player.
It's the guy, the really muscular dude.
Diedrich Bader.
Yeah, that guy. I love that guy.
Craig Ferguson. Ryan Stiles.
Ryan Stiles, one of the greatest comedians of all time. My favorite thing about Diedrich Bader is he has the most memorable line of the ping pong movie Balls of Fury with Christopher Walken.
Never watched that. I somehow avoided it, man.
You know what? I'll do a plug here.
Okay.
I discussed the movie Balls of Fury on our friend's sports podcast called Big Screen Sports.
Yes.
Go check it out with Kyle Banduho.
Big Screen Sports.
Big Screen Sports. Go to the episode Balls of Fury. I talk about it for an hour. Hilarious. Watch the movie first, and we discuss the scene.
You don't have to watch the movie first at all.
Well,
just to be clear, no. It's one of those things where it's like either or. Probably funnier and more enjoyable if. Nope. I'm not sure. Because it's like when I did the full review and explanation of that fucking truck driving arm wrestling Sylvester Stallone movie, Over the Top. Like, that movie is much funnier to hear about than it is to watch. Because watching it, you're like, I can't believe that I'm putting my time into this and my human energy and effort. And then it's so bad that you get to a point where you spiral and it's like, you're thinking about how much time they put into it and money and like acting and effort. And it's just like, what is wrong with us? An arm wrestling truck driving champion who's just trying to get his boy back by doing an arm wrestling competition.
It's not that believable.
How do we not have a better story to tell than that? I'm at a loss.
Ross loves making fun of me for never having seen most of the biggest films of his childhood.
Jared, I'm trolling you. You think Sylvester Stallone would make a movie about truck driving and arm wrestling?
Wait,
I'm just kidding. You really did. It's called Over the Top.
So you did show me. That's control. The movies that I have watched, I have a few movies I've watched and then went on other podcasts to talk about, and they're all like notably terrible. It was whatever one I just said, Balls of Fury, and then it was MacGruber.
Jesus.
Another one was Tenet.
This is proof in the pudding that there are way too many damn podcasts, man. Proof. Nobody needs to pod about MacGruber. We just don't need to. Fun as it may be.
MacGruber!
It's a low-key, very funny-ass movie.
It was pretty funny.
I'm also a child inside, so...
Steven Seagal.
It's one of our longer episodes in a while. We're like an hour and 25 in. Look at us.
Well, that's a little bit off because that's...
Yeah, probably 5-10 minutes shorter than what I'm saying.
Well,
but the point is, when we shut the mics off, I'm going to pass out and die right here.
Yeah, but fun fact, we do have a cold open. A very rare cold open on RBP here.
We do. I'm concerned with what people will take away from it, but like the nightmares that we're putting in other people's heads are now paralleling Zuckerberg's attempts to put nightmares in the children's heads.
It's a fantasy, not a nightmare. I will repeat.
Sorry, fantasies.
And the last thing I'll say is...
Porn Alpha is a fantasy too, technically, and a nightmare.
This is technically the second episode in a row that had a cold open. The other one was on patreon.com/Ross Bolen podcast.
Did we really?
Yeah.
What did we do on that one?
I did the big part where I call people dirty sluts.
Oh, shit, you left that in there?
Yeah, you told me to.
Okay. It's interesting.
And
that explains the massive drop-off in patrons. No, I'm kidding. We've gone up. We love y'all. Thank you very much for your support. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. If you want more RBP, and if you want to support the podcast and make sure that Jared and I get to continue to do it and support our company that we have, our small little 2 full-timers right now down at Bolen Media headquarters in Austin, Texas, where I'm a full-time, all of the time Austin FC fan now, apparently. I'm just saying, it's our only sports team, man. I needed something badly that wasn't Longhorn football. So then you go to patreon.com/Ross Bolen podcast today. Get an ad-free episode every Friday. Get a couple mental health minisodes every month. Get some articles. Lots of stuff coming this week, as it is the last month in September. As Jared and I have said before, it typically turns out where that's basically the deal right now is like you contribute on Patreon, support the show, and depending on which tier you pick, last week of the month is like an extravaganza of content. Just get lots of extra pods and columns and
like
stuff.
A content bukkake.
Yeah, you could say that. You could say that. One of the tiers is actually $25 a month, and it's the content bukkake tier. No, it's not. It's a minimum $5 pledge. Get on there, throw $5 at us. You spend $5 on dumb ALF porn every month. Stop that. Spend it with us. Stop spending it with Zuckerberg. Don't give him your money. Give us your money. We will make a media company that doesn't suck ass and try to make your children miserable. What a horrible fucking... Every single one of us on social media wants to die, and they're like, you know what we should do? Give it to kids. Fuck you, dick. Instagram kids. It's like if they'd been like, what if we could sell cigarettes to kids? And then the next guy went, we could name it Cigarette Kids. Like, you're not even trying to hide it.
Hitler did that. Yeah. What if we had made kids Nazis? Let's call it the Hitler Youth. He literally did that. It's the same fucking thing.
It is the same fucking... I know it's not the same fucking thing, but it's the same fucking thing. It's trying to influence young, indefensible children. I don't know if that's the right word. Anyway, to do some shit you want them to do because you're an asshole. It's the exact same. Anyway, Go watch the Drew Carey show. Have yourself some mouth porn, a good spank, and we'll see you on Wednesday. This was weird.
You can't say go have a good spank.
I think we can literally say whatever we want. Like,
Oh, yeah.
literally whatever we want, though. There's no one to report to. It's just us.
And make sure you go to 7-Eleven this
And
week.
go to 7-Eleven. Try not to cry when you're in line checking out. We love you. We hope that we don't haunt you. The end.